let's go to the next slide because the music can go on, and it's not time for you, music. It's my time now. So, welcome everybody to the Hello Fears lunch in English. Can you believe that I did a whole lunch in person a few hours ago in Spanish in Miami? Like, I can't believe my day has been, super hectic, very crazy. I woke up at 6 a.m. today to do my hair, do my makeup, dress up, go to my event. I was at this beautiful event. I can't even share with words how amazing today it was in the morning. It was a very different event, so it's not like I'm doing the exact same thing in Spanish and in English. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the events that I did this morning here in Miami. Let me put myself full screen. There I am. Basically, for the morning event, which was in Spanish, I chose 10 people from my community and I asked them to choose one chapter of the Hello Fears book, the one chapter that most impacted their lives. And each one of them chose the one chapter that they were like, when I read this, it motivated me to take action and completely change my life. So I gave them 5 minutes to share their story, inspire the audience, and hopefully make people want to read the book. So first of all, we had Tina, one of the girls from my community, singing that song, I Live, the one that I played here. In acoustic, and she did such an amazing job. I was not crying, I was bawling, like ugly crying throughout the whole song. Everybody was like in tears and we couldn't believe how amazing she was singing that song. After that, each one of them talked about the different chapters and story after story. It was just so inspiring. I never heard the stories before. I just chose them because I knew that they were going to do a good job and that they had inspiring stories, but I didn't really know the stories or, the intricacies of each one of them. So for me, it was all a surprise. They even surprised me with shirts. Each one of them was wearing the shirt with the name of their chapter. And because I was talking about abundance, what we're doing today, they created this one for me. And in the back, each one of them had the most important quote from the different chapters. So for me, it was like a dream come true what happened today. And I loved how all the stories were extremely different. Like one story was about divorce, one story was about infertility, one story was about entrepreneurship as a mom, one story was about immigrating to a new country. Like every story was so different in its own way and so relatable at the same time that we were all in tears for basically every story we heard. And at the end, the last story for chapter 10, which is the chapter, if you haven't read the book, is a chapter where I talk about where my fears come from. And my fears come from my grandparents who went through the Holocaust, which is so relevant right now with what's happening in the world, most specifically in Israel. So going back to that, like it has a lot of meaning for me and for my community and everything that we're going through right now. So for that one, we had one of the girls share her story about trauma, and she ended up singing the song from The Greatest Showman. This Is Me. And again, another amazing singer. So we had a song as an opening, a song as a closing. It was just so motivating, so inspiring, so moving for everybody there. I am still trying to process what happened. And I left that event saying, I've never felt so happy after an event in my life. So for me, this was very meaningful. And I can't believe that now I get to share with you this class about abundance. So today I was able to speak a little bit about the abundance, but this is the real deal what I'm going to do here. Basically, to tell you a little bit what we're going to be talking about, let me put the slide in here. Wait, okay, I'm learning, guys. I'm figuring this out, but I have from my team Johnny in the back end who will help me with this. But I think we got this Johnny. So basically, I created this class, the one you're going to see right now, The Abundance of Believing in Yourself, in Spanish. I created that for my Hispanic community. And I delivered this class last year, and it was so powerful. It had the impact was so profound in the people that listened to this class that when my editor from Sourcebook came to me at the end of the year saying, Michelle, we're going to release the paperback version of your book. Is there anything you want to change, you want to remove, you want to add? And you know how when you look at your baby, you think your baby's perfect? That's the way that I perceive my book. So I was like, nope, nothing I want to remove, nothing I want to change. This book is my baby and it's perfect because I made it. But she was like, are you sure there's nothing, maybe an extra chapter, a bonus chapter? And I was like, okay, I'll think about it. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, there's one thing I don't mention in this book because it was not, it's not that it was not part of my life before the book. It was not like part of my, I never considered this word before. And the word is abundance. I discovered this in the pandemic. And after that point, after 2020, I started really going deep into abundance. What does it mean to be abundant? And how has that changed my life and got me where I am today? So I decided to translate with the help of my copywriter, Jit, who did an amazing job at this. She helped me translate this class into a chapter from Spanish to English. And well, the rest is history. That's why we have now the book with the new chapter, and it's very similar, the chapters and what you're going to see here today. So I'm super excited to get started with this. First, let me know in the chat if you already have the book in your hands, and how does it feel to have the book in your hands already? And if you don't, it's probably because you bought it maybe today or yesterday or maybe just a few days ago, and you should be getting that very soon. So I can't wait for you to all have this beautiful book in your hands. I see. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. 3 of them. Oh my gosh. Amazing. It's beautiful. I know. It is perfect. All right. So let me start this class. Let me see where. Okay, I'm like seeing my notes here to make sure that we're in the right page. Okay, so I wanted to share also that this class, before even we get started, but this class is so important that when people join my membership, and my membership is where I have all of my courses, all of my classes, everything from personal branding to courage to authenticity to social media, all of that. The first thing that I ask people to watch is the class about abundance. If you don't want to watch the class about abundance, you're not even welcome in my community, in my membership. That's the first thing I need people to do because it really, really changes the approach that people has with each other, with the platform, with us, with the team, and with the whole community. And it just makes you feel like you want to be present from a place of how can I help as opposed to what can I get. Because when people enter a membership or any new place, they're thinking, what can I get out of this? What's in it for me? And I'm asking people to change that mindset to how can I help? What can I add to this place? What can I bring to the table? So I experienced abundance as I was launching this book. Again and again. Like I have so many examples of abundance, but to me, the launch of this book is proof of that. I told my community, like, hey, I have a second chance at making it to the New York Times bestseller list. But for that, we need to sell 12,000 copies. And immediately they started organizing themselves. One was like, Michelle, I want to be part of the launch team. I want to organize the launch team. And these are all the ideas we can do. Other ones were like, can we donate books to certain organizations? Can we bring books to other countries that can't, that don't have Amazon or these websites. What else can we do? They started promoting the book on all their social media channels, creating reels, like actually going above and beyond to help me. And for me, that is abundance. So I don't even care at this point if I make it into the New York Times bestsellers. Like, it will definitely have an impact in my life. But right now, I feel I already accomplished so much just by seeing the movement that this goal originated, not only in my community, but in my life. Just seeing that for me is like, and the other day I heard one person comment and say, Michelle, a lot of people have a New York Times bestseller, but no one has a community like yours. So I feel really, really honored about that. And I know they're here connected, many of them. So thank you. I see June in there. Thank you, June. Thank you, Mena. So many of you that helped me make this happen. All right. Now I want to ask you this. Let's start with a question. What is abundant? Well, you know what? Let me take it back. Who here would like a more abundant life? That's the first question I'm going to ask you. Who here would like a more abundant life? And I would love to read you in the chat. So say yes if you're like, oh, that's me. Okay, I'm like waiting for the comments because it has like, okay, me, yay. Okay, guys, I need you to be very active in the chat so I know that you're here with me watching this. Okay, so, but let me ask you this now. What is an abundant life, right? How does that feel? And I hope that you have pen and paper with you right now because we're going to do an exercise, okay? I need you to grab a blank sheet of paper and your favorite pen, and I want you to draw either objects or very large words or both, anything that represents what you picture in your life about abundance. What is abundance for you? How would you like to see abundance represented in your life? So I did this exercise. So I start drawing. I did this exercise when I did the 21 days of abundance with Deepak Chopra. I did his challenge. And that was when the pandemic started. And today I look back, I opened that notebook, and I can't believe that everything that I drew in there is materialized. Everything. Like, it's amazing. I now have everything that once I didn't have, but I dreamed about. So very, very powerful. I'm going to play some music. Okay. So for me, this is a very like chill space to discuss abundance and for you to think about yourself, your future, and how can you reshift how we perceive abundance. Okay. So I'm going to give you a few minutes for you to do this while we listen to a song. All right. I want you to write in the chat, what are some of the things that you draw in there? If you had cameras, I would ask you to show it so we could see your drawings. I know it was very short, so you can continue this exercise after. Um, but if you can just write anything in the chat, like what is abundance for you? Okay. Sorry for the awkward silence. Just trying for you to catch up. Ocean view. Oh, I like that. Happiness, great health, work and family balance. More time imagining than drawing you spend. Oh my gosh. Inner peace, freedom and flexibility. I like flexibility. That's a really good word. Freedom from comparison, appreciating what I have rather than wishing, oh my gosh, wishing for more. Betsy, that's a great answer. I love that. That is exactly what abundance is. Traveling, yes, health and my family, happy time with friends and family. I see a lot of like friends and family. That's so beautiful. When I ask what is abundance, I am expecting to see a lot of like things that might be tied to finances and money and luxury, and seeing health, friends, family, be free from comparison, and what you're sharing, it's amazing. So we're on the right track. We're doing good. Okay, so now, what is my definition of abundance, right? That's a question that I got asked last week as I was recording a podcast and promoting the new chapter of my book. And in the moment, I completely blanked. I was so excited to talk about abundance with this podcaster. It's my first podcast interview where they asked me about abundance and this new chapter. So I was like, I'm ready. Let's do this. And when the person is like, so Michelle, what is abundance? I'm like, well, it's like, and I started like that. Like I'm like, when you, and I couldn't define it. And I was so frustrated. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm live doing this interview. I told her to ask me that question and I couldn't come up with an answer. So I went immediately to an example, which was a really great example. And we're going to that example next. And it helped me start the conversation. It was an amazing conversation. But I was like, you know what? I need to write a definition of what is abundance for me. And so in my plane last week, as I was traveling for one of my speeches, I started thinking, what is abundance? And I realized that abundance, people often think of abundance as a result that is represented by money or material possessions, when in reality, abundance is a feeling, is the feeling that no one can take away what's truly yours. An abundant person is one who gives unmeasurably out of the simple pleasure of bringing value to the lives of others, not to seek anything in return. An abundant person is one who cherishes and cheers other people's wins without regarding one person's victory as another person's loss. An abundant person knows how to receive and frequently says yes and thank you. And they see other people as allies and chooses collaboration as opposed to competition. And an abundant person feels they're enough. I am enough. I have enough and always will. And for me, abundance tastes like freedom, because freedom gives you the confidence to be who you are. And when you're confident in who you are, in your abilities, in your strength, in what's meant for you, then you have the certainty that every time that you share, that you give, or help someone else, nothing is ever subtracted, only added to your life. So let me illustrate all of this with a simple example. And this is the example that I gave the podcaster when she asked me the question. So first, let's talk about math. I know it sounds boring, but there are cookies in the background, so it's not boring. For me, abundance translates into an equation that doesn't entirely agree with math as we know it. At school, they taught us subtraction this way. If Wendy has 5 cookies and she gives away 3 cookies, how many does she have left, right? And the logical mathematical answer would be 2. If you live in a world led by scarcity, without a doubt, this equation would make sense. However, for those of us who live in an abundance led world, we would be certain that if we give away 3 cookies, we don't lose, we win. We don't subtract, we add. In this case, she, Wendy, whoever gave the cookies, added 3 friends. Plus, the possibility that in the future, these friends will give her back more than what she originally gave them as a way, as a show of appreciation for the cookies. And then even the universe will reward you for your kindness. So if you see it, drop hard or say yes in the heck yes, hell yes, or whatever you want to say in the chat, if you agree. Because for me, this is exactly how I live my life. Every time that I give something and I see it, in contrast with other people, that when they give, they feel empty, but the people that live life from abundance, when they give, they feel full. They feel fulfilled. How do you feel when you give something? Like when you donate or when you help somebody or when you spend an extra time with somebody that needed you? Do you feel full because you gave that away to somebody that needed it? Or do you feel empty as if somebody is taking something away from you? And that for me is the main difference from abundance and scarcity. Now, both children and adults seem to want what other people have. I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but for example, I see it with Noah, with my baby. In children, you see it with toys, right? He always wants the toy that another kid has. He might hate that toy, but because another kid has it, now he's, more interested in that toy than ever before. Maybe somebody that came to our house, and his baby's like grabbing this little thing. Noah never played with this thing, but now he desperately wants the thing just because another baby has it. And it happens also with adults, right? When as an adult you see around and suddenly you start like hoping or wishing or wanting other people's houses, other people's families, other people's money, cars, followers, other people's opportunities. We start like, oh, it just feels so appealing when somebody else has those things. But what if instead of wanting what other people have, we were just happy for them? What if we could just change that around, that feeling that we have, that we want what we don't have, to just feel happy for the other person because they have it and they're happy with it? What if we encourage ourselves to learn from others, to support others, and to feel that what we have is enough? And that sooner or later, what we long for will come to us. If it's meant for us, also, we need to trust in that. So, who here has ever felt that because somebody else got the position that you wanted in your company, you feel like they took it away from you? Let me know in the chat. And I know this might put you in an awkward position, but it's okay. We're in, this is a safe space. We can talk about this. Or maybe you have a friend who just got engaged, which reminds you that maybe you're not engaged, or a friend who got pregnant before you, and that is a constant reminder that you're not pregnant yet. Or maybe you have a friend that reached a certain amount of followers and now you feel like they were kind of taken away from you in some way. In my case, maybe I see somebody getting a bestseller, with their book, and then it feels like they took away the possibility for me. And when we're in that mindset, we see the other person as enemy, like she got it and I don't. And we go straight into victim mode. And we question ourselves, what did I do wrong? Why her and not me? I'm not lucky, right? Or it must be that I don't deserve that. Well, we forget that we have our own path, and that today your friend might get engaged or married, and in a few months then you'll get engaged or married, and you'll dance until 5 a.m. at each other's weddings and raise your children together even though they arrived at different times, and you will support each other also through loss and divorce. And that is what life is about. Just because someone else got what you want doesn't mean that you're not going to get it. You will get it eventually. So this way of thinking is rooted in a scarcity mindset. A person with an abundance mindset is thrilled by other people's success, the profits, and the happiness of others. It's seeing other people's success as a sign of what's possible for you. Like, that person made a way for you, something like that, right? So whenever it's your turn, now you know that you want that and that you can follow that path. You're seeing the person who achieved what you want as an ally to help you achieve that too, not as your competition. It's understanding what I was saying with the equation, that nothing is ever subtracted, but everything is an addition. And let me know in the chat if you would like to see the world through this lens more. Well, and that's what we're here to do today, to change that mentality. Because the coolest thing about this is that your abundance mindset works like a switch that you can turn on and off. It's like a muscle that once you start exercising, you'll grow it, you'll strengthen it, and over time, it will become second nature. I've seen people with a very strong scarcity mindset after seeing this class, reading about this topic, and having these conversations, completely turning the other way around and becoming very abundant people. It's just this exercise that we have to continue to remind ourselves, because even I forget about it. Even I go into scarcity mindset, but I'm now aware of it. And that, I think that's my goal with this presentation, for you to at least be aware of this. Wait, I need to drink water before I continue. Okay, now let's talk about this universal truth. Abundance attracts abundance. If you want an abundant life, you must be willing to be abundant yourself. And that is the secret of abundance. So I got to the secret of abundance really quickly, because at the end of the day, your world is a reflection of who you are. I mean, if you smile at a stranger, you have a way better chance of that stranger smiling back at you. Have you tried that? Have you? I now do it. You know why? Because I don't know who in the street can recognize me, because I'm a public figure, and not that I am Shakira or anyone like that, but still, when I go out, I have the risk, let's call it that way, of people knowing who I am. And I get text later, and I'm like, and they tell me like, "Hey, Michelle, I saw you eating at this restaurant." As I was eating at the restaurant, I had no idea that anybody in the restaurant was recognizing me or knowing who I was. And of course, I always get the people that approach me to take a photo or just screams down the street, "Hi, Michelle," if they see me from afar. So because I know this is a possibility, I now smile to everybody, because I don't know. And I just want to seem very friendly. Not that I'm not friendly, but now I make an extra effort. And what I get is a lot of smiles in return. So many people smile me back, and they don't even know me, just because I'm smiling at them. So that is a proof of what how abundance works. You smile at someone, you have a better chance of somebody smiling back at you. You smile at the world will smile back. For example, if you reward your team well, I see that, I don't know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want to pay them the least amount of money, so I make more or whatever." But and by reward, it's not only like monetary reward, it's also in which ways are you rewarding your team? What are you going out of your way to give them? Also, maybe it's your guidance, your attention, maybe it's extra surprises along the way or whatever it is. But when you reward your team well, you have a better chance of them wanting to stay and give you their best. If you intentionally change one person's life, you have a higher chance of that person wanting to change your life. If you treat people well, there's a greater chance that you will be treated well by other people. If you make an extra effort for other people, there's a better chance of other people wanting to do an extra effort for you. And this is the way I see it. Abundance attracts abundance. Now, I call this also accumulating good karma. And there's usually a very negative connotation to karma, right? As we tend to say, karma is a bitch. But what happens if we turn it around and we give a positive ring to it? Something like karma is the bomb, right? Actually, I believe that the right word for this is dharma. So somebody corrected me the other day and said, there is a word for this, which is interesting. I should do more research about this. But I want to ask you something. Who here has seen The Good Place? There's a show. Is it on Netflix? I think it's on Netflix. It's called The Good Place. Is it Netflix? No, I don't know. But there's a scene that really impressed me when I saw the show a few years ago. So I want to show you that shortly. And well, needless to say that I highly recommend this show. But yeah, I want to show you this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to your first day in the afterlife. You are all, simply put, good people. But how do we know that you were good? How are we sure? During your time on Earth, every one of your actions had a positive or a negative value, depending on how much good or bad that action put into the universe. Every sandwich you ate, every time you bought a magazine, every single thing you did had an effect that rippled out over time and ultimately created some amount of good or bad. You know how some people pull into the breakdown lane when there's traffic and they think to themselves, who cares? No one's watching. We were watching. Surprise. Anyway, when your time on Earth is ended, we calculate the total value of your life using our perfectly accurate measuring system. Only the people with the very highest scores, the true cream of the crop, get to come here to the good place. What happens to everyone else, you ask? Don't worry about it. The point is, you are here because you lived one of the very best lives that could be lived.
Okay. Now, the main character in there, Michael, he's the architect of heaven. Not they don't call it God; they call it the architect of heaven. And the place is the place where like good people go at the end of their time on Earth. And in this video, he welcomes, right? He's like, this is the welcome video for everyone that had just died, basically, and arrived to paradise, so to speak. And he explains that every action that we take in our life has a score. Oh, wait, did I? Let me wait. Maybe I did. Let me see. Okay, okay. Wait, give me 1 second. I wanna. Okay. Wait. I'm super confused with all my slides. Okay, now. Okay, what do you see right now? Okay, perfect. And I have to say that whoever wrote this is a freaking genius because I stopped this as I was watching and I started reading like all of the things in there and they're hilarious. You get things like maintaining your composure in a line inside a water park in Houston gives you 60 points. And I'm wondering what happens in Houston in water parks. If you know, let me know. Or telling a woman to smile, it takes you 53 points back, like minus 53 points. Rooting for the New York Yankees subtracts 100 points. I don't know why. Using Facebook as a verb subtracts 5 points. And then he shows you the example of a person who arrived at the good place and the things that she did in her life. So, for example, she ate vegan, but never discussed veganism in an inappropriate way. I thought that was really funny. Donated blood, rehabilitated an abused dog. This is really funny. Went to a friend's cousin's jazz recital. Yeah, you would have to pay me a lot of money for me to go to a friend's cousin's jazz recital. And this one's great. She started writing a post about David Bowie and then realized that the world doesn't need to know her opinion about David Bowie. Okay, so I thought it was really hilarious and I highly recommend it because it has both a very smart and silly style of comedy and incredible messages and lessons. And overall, you could say that this person that you see here accumulated good karma or dharma throughout her life, and rightly so, they arrive at the good place. Basically, every time that we add value to someone else, we earn points with the universe and we make society a better place. All of those things that were in there, they're all about adding value to the world in one way or another. Because when you practice abundance, it sets the right example for the person who is receiving, like on the receiving end of your abundance. So that person will also want to be and feel abundant for others. It's like a chain with infinite potential. And for me, this has been crazy to experience. Like I analyze all my recent relationships with the people that surround me, with my team, with the new people in my life. and they all go back to abundance. And I can tell you so many stories, and it becomes this chain where I did something for somebody, probably just putting my content out there instead of holding my ideas back, which, if you are holding your ideas back, you're not adding to the world. You're keeping things to yourself because of your fears, your fear of exposing yourself, your fear of rejection, your fear of being judged. But because I was able to overcome my fears and expose myself in this way, just every time that I have an idea, I feel the need to share it with the world and I put it out there, then people feel so grateful for me and for my content that they want to do something in return. So when people approach me, people with an abundance mindset approach me, they're never seeking something in return because they come from a place of gratitude. And it's crazy to have all this experience, because when they come and they give me something from a place of gratitude, then I want to give something back to them because I feel so grateful, not because I feel I owe them anything, but because I feel like I want to give them back with what I can bring to the world. Anyways, my goal with this class, is that we all become abundance enhancers. If that's, I don't know, maybe a new concept, and influencers, like abundance influencers. How about that? I think that sounds better. So it goes viral. I want abundance to go viral so we can all live in a better, less scarce world. But let's be very clear about something, okay? This is the good time to talk about this. I'm not suggesting that you become abundance in quotation marks. But what do I mean about this? To give out of the expectation to receive something in returns or to accumulate points. Anyone who is abundant gives from the heart, like true abundant, right? Gives from the heart because they feel like doing it, because they see that there's a positive impact that they can bring to others beyond themselves, beyond their lives, and beyond profit. So abundance needs to be genuine. This is very important. If not, it's not abundance. Abundant in quotation marks is not someone who gives to be light, right? To please or to fit in, because as I mentioned before, there's something expected in return, and that doesn't even count as abundance. So we shouldn't give from a place like to please anyone, because that is called being a people pleaser. Okay, if you're giving and giving and giving because you want to please, which means you want to be liked, you're a pleaser. This is not being abundant. It's very important for me to make this distinction. And we shouldn't give just to receive, because that is being self-serving. That is not being abundant. So we should give because we feel a need to contribute, a calling, a purpose that tells us that what we know or what we have is what other people need. And without subtracting anything from yourself, you can share it and it adds value to other people's lives. So, what do I mean by give? When I say gifts, a lot of people associate this with, like, you mean money, or what can we give? So, I have some ideas in here. We can give creative ideas to anyone who's creating something from scratch. We can give real feedback to someone you want to see succeed, knowledge to those who are interested in learning from you, recognition to those who deserve it and have earned it, contacts whom you feel confident recommending, time to those who value it, resources to those who seek them, interest to those with potential. For me, the most beautiful thing about being successful is being able to share with, like, those things with whoever comes to my life to stay. It's being able to lift others up thanks to my positioning, my capabilities, my career, my learnings, my context, my influence, my power. One of the things that my community thanks me more is my generosity. And acting this way has only added greatness to my life. Now, I want to do a quick exercise with you. I want you to write down all the things that you can give. So please go back to your notebooks or your piece of paper, and I'm going to give you around 3 minutes for you to write down a list of all the things that you can give that you never considered before. All right, we're back. Please let me know in the chat what are some of the things that you wrote, or how did you feel writing these things? Wait, I need to see myself. Okay, Yoni. I'm like Yoni. Okay, okay. Oh, let me read what you have here in the chat. The word dance. Dance, the word dance is in abundance. I love it. Thank you for mentioning that, Michelle. Insights, laughing, inspiration, encouragement, company, cheering up, recognition, attention, focus, presence, love, forgiveness. Oh my gosh, what a good word. Kindness, compassion, quality time, time, resources, laughs, friendship. I love this. Wonderful words in here. So now we're going to talk about where does abundance come from, and just like the title of this class, abundance comes from believing in yourself. And I'm gonna share like a short story. I remember when I started learning Photoshop after graduating from high school. Okay, this was a long time ago. I was so proud of my creations that I displayed all of them in my Facebook feed. And then in college, I created my portfolio and I immediately started showcasing all my projects on social media. So what see here is from 2007, and don't judge me, okay? I was just starting. And when I started putting all of this like portfolio pieces into Facebook, Facebook was pretty new at the time, but I was so excited to share these creations with the world. I was so proud of them. I'm normally very proud of the things that I create. Now, a few years later, I'm like, Michelle, okay. Anyways, but you know what people told me when I started posting this on Facebook? People that care about me, like very close to me, they started saying, Michelle, don't share your projects on social media. People can copy you, right? But what I thought is, yes, they can copy me, but they can also hire me. They can recommend me. They can admire me. They can now know what I'm good for. So that never really scared me because I'm not scared of being copied. I actually pity people who copy other people. I don't want to be afraid of someone without creativity to, bring their own pieces to life, and they must steal from other people's creations to achieve their goals. That person probably won't make it far in their life. So copycats don't scare me because I believe in myself. And believing in yourself means that if someone copies you, they're flattering you, not stealing from you. It's believing that you have a place that no one can take away from you. It's up to you to work to earn that place. And that place that you want is waiting for you. It has a reserved sign with your name on it. So if other people work harder or smarter, they may come close, a little higher, a little lower, to the right, to the left. But the truth is that they will arrive at their place, not yours. It's only up to us to take ownership of that place that we want to get to. And believing in yourself is believing in your timing. If you haven't achieved something, it's because it's not your turn yet. In the meantime, let's keep building our story. Believing in ourselves is believing in our worth. If you believe that what you have to contribute is valuable, you'll believe that it will benefit others in a very positive way, and you'll be more willing to share it. I remember when a friend of mine who has an online program about mental health, one of my best friends, she, at one point when she started, she limited her program's capacity to 15 people. She didn't see the value in her program, and that's why she hardly promoted it, or never promoted it at all, actually. Instead, she felt ashamed. She needed me to tell her how incredible her program was, because I took it twice for her to believe in it. And nowadays, she doesn't limit her intake to 15 people, but she sells her program to 500 to 1,000 people at a time. Now she gets to make a living out of that program. And that program not only changed her life, but it changed the lives of thousands of peoples and families who have taken it. Believing in yourself is believing in your power to reinvent yourself if necessary. I remember when I started giving my keynote presentation, the Fear Less, Do More, the one about fears. Most of you have seen it. And several people that are close to me, that care about me, asked me this question. They said, Michelle, why are you quitting your job to become a speaker? Because you have like this story, but what will happen when everybody already heard your story about fears? What will you do next? I don't think it's a wise decision to quit your job to do this for a living. And well, you see, that never really worried me, because if you created something cool, it's because you are cool. I came up with a 100-day project that went viral, and I showed myself that I can do whatever I set my mind to. As my mentor, Michael Melamed, once told me, nothing about you impresses me because you are impressive. Think about that for a little bit. Now, believing in yourself, I have this whole mantra of what it means, okay? Believing in yourself. So I'm going one by one. Believing in yourself is believing in others and betting on others, investing in others. Sometimes we believe that when, for example, we launch something, a product, a service, an online program, if a friend of us launches any of these, like any kind of product, we think that they should give us their product for free or at a special price because we're close. Like, I deserve your program because I'm your friend or I supported you. And a generous person invests first in their loved ones, supporting their cause, their business, instead of wanting a discount or expecting a free product. I remember when I released my book in 2020, and I had friends that were waiting for me to give them a free signed copy of my book. And then I had other friends who bought 15 copies of my book to support me. Everything that we invest in other people will eventually come back to us because it comes from a place of abundance. Maybe that person that you gave something to, maybe that's not the person that will give you something in return, but I bet the universe will give you something in return because of like your abundance. Believing in yourself is connecting with your values and acting from there, not from your ego. Believing in yourself is trusting in your path and trusting that only you know which avenue to take next. And don't let anybody else guide your steps and tell you that you're going the wrong way. For example, when we get pressured to get married or to have children or to look for a certain job or to quit the job that we're currently in, nobody can tell you to do these things. Only you know what's the right next step for you. Believing in yourself is also seeking help when you need it, knowing that we're not almighty and that's okay. We're humans with flaws that we can correct. Believing in yourself is knowing that your existence has a purpose and that we're not in this world by chance. Each one of us is here with an intention. It's a matter of finding out what that is and go towards it at full force. Believing in yourself is daring to dream big because you trust in your abilities to make your dreams a reality. And most importantly, just the last thing about this, believing in yourself is feeling you're meant for and deserve greatness, even when others tell you to come back to earth. Adam says that he learned about abundance by watching me believe in my potential, voice my most ambitious dreams out loud, and be open to receiving all the greatness the universe has in store for me. It's interesting because I've learned abundance from him, and he has learned abundance from me in very different ways. Like the way that he learned from me is this, that I'm very open to receiving what the world has in store for me, that I'm always open and very like in alignment with the universe. And for him, that is my abundance. And I've learned a lot about abundance from him, in a way to give to others, without holding anything back. So I love that we can't like we yeah we complement each other in that way. Now, I think that it's relevant to share three different situations that I've seen scarcity led the way. Okay. And it is hard to talk about scarcity, but I think it's so relevant that we can pinpoint what scarcity looks like. Okay. So I have three stories. The first one, during one of my mentorships, I was talking to the leader of a nutrition company, and she asked me how to cultivate real community and grow their social media accounts from their company. And my advice was to show more of herself in her day to day on her personal account, and little by little gain her followers' trust so she could redirect them to the company's social media accounts where they could find a ton of useful information. So it's like using both accounts, her personal account to share her day to day, people trusting her and loving her content, and then she's saying, oh, you like this content, I have a lot of useful information in this account, right? So then she can send people to that other account about her company, the company account. And then she tells me that she's not the only face of this brand, and that there are more health consultants. It's not, she's not the only like influencer in there. And she wanted me to tell her what to do in that case. And she was like, should I also ask the other health consultant to do the same, to start sharing their day to day on their social media, and then like build an audience and redirect that audience to the company's social media account? And I was like, yes, of course. So that would be amazing if each one of them have their own community, and then together you build this community for the brand that you all work for. That's perfect, right? More people contributing to this. And then after I suggested that, she started thinking about it. She got really uncomfortable, and she was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea, because what happens if they become so popular doing that, that then they leave the company because they already have an audience and then they don't need me? I better not suggest that. For me, that's the perfect representation of a scarcity mindset. To think that the benefit of somebody else, and in this case, somebody else being someone in your team, equals a loss for another one, which is the company, is going back to the concept of 5 minus 3 equals 2. If the person's popularity on social media increases because of the boost that you gave them and the motivation you gave them, and people end up leaving your company because of this, be happy for them. Support them in their new path, and let them leave your company loving you, feeling a depth of gratitude due to all the incredible things that you brought to her life. She'll be an influencer for many, but she'll be your forever fan. So, what if we could leave fans scattered around the world? Fans of our abundance, of our self confidence, of our desire to give and to contribute before receiving, right? Scarcity gives us this false sense of control. False sense of control. Did I say that correctly? We feel like we can control people, be it our team or our family, thinking that if we limit people's success, they'll stay by our side. And the truth is that if that person was going to leave eventually, she should do so under the best possible terms. And if she's going to stay, she should do it because she really wants to, not because she has to. Actually, it's crazy, because I had this dilemma with myself recently. A year ago, this wonderful woman called Sol, she started working with me in our house, in our house, helping us with the meals, with the cleaning, with Noah, and she's amazing, and we love her so much. We made her part of this family, and I have my book in Spanish, and I thought about, giving her a copy. But then for 1 second, I thought, what if I give her a copy of my book, Hello Fears? She gets so inspired, and she goes to pursue her own dreams, which are maybe not with us. And for 1 second, I thought to not give her my book, hold that information back, because I want to keep her in my life. And then I thought to myself, first of all, you're acting from a place of scarcity right away. Like I told you, one of my goals is for you to spot scarcity quickly so you can either accept it and say, okay, yes, I am acting from a place of scarcity, or change it around and say, this is not right. And scarcity will never bring positive to your life. If you want something positive to your life, we need to act from a place of abundance, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's scary. So I gave her my book. This was months ago. I'm not sure if she read it or not, but this past week, I we traveled together for the first time for me to do my speeches in Boston and New Orleans, and I asked her to join me in my presentation, to come watch me live present my talk, Fear Less, Do More. So she came with me. And again, I had kind of the same fear because I know that when people listen to my talk, they get so inspired that they want to go out there and face a fear. So after the presentation, Adam asked her, this was like 2 days ago. I actually shared this on social media. Adam asked her, Sol, how did you feel? What are you now inspired to do? Are you going to quit on us and go travel the world and do something crazy? And I was like, Adam, shut up, don't give her ideas. But she laughed and she was like, it's interesting because after hearing that presentation, the Fear Less Do More, it's not like it gave me a rush to do something crazy, but what it created in me is a sense of self-worth because I, for the first time in my life, valued my courage. I never recognized the courage I had when I decided to move to this country by myself. And now I not only see the courage I had, but also the reward in that. And now I feel so proud of myself. So thank you. You made me feel valuable. That's what she told me. And she's like, and also I realized that because I was so brave and moved to this country and decided to start from scratch, that took me here. And now I get to work with you. And she's like, you're like the best family that I could ever think about, right? To work with. So no, I don't want to leave you. I want to continue helping you, supporting you, because I know that because like through my support, you get to do amazing things. So I'm happy to be here with you for many more years to come. For me and Adam was like, ah, and that's what happens when we act from a place of abundance. Amazing things happen. Okay, now scarcity story number two. So, a few years ago, I was having a conversation with an influencer friend, and she told me, Michelle, if your followers ask you for your therapist contact information, what will you do? I was very surprised by her question because I was like, what do you mean? What would I do? Like, I was not understanding the question. And I was like, I would recommend her and share her contact information. I mean, she's the best. And I'm like, wait, do you need a therapist? Like, are you asking for her contact information? And she's like, no, I just think that you're crazy. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm crazy? And she's like, what happens if she ends up getting so many clients that she stops seeing you? And then she's like, you would have to kill me before I give you my therapist information. I would never want to lose my spot in her practice. And at that moment I thought, poor therapist. She's seeing one of the biggest influencers in Latin America and has zero recognition for her work, like public recognition. Not that she sees her for that reason, of course, but I'm always looking to publicly recognize my therapists, my mentors in every way that I can, in my book, in conversations, in my social media, because a lot of my content comes from those conversations. So of course, I not only say I learned this from my therapist, but I tag the person, I put her name everywhere that I can because she deserves that recognition. And then I thought not only about her therapist, but if that's her mentality around sharing her therapist information, she'll probably never give public credit to her team, to her designers, copywriters, social media managers, or whatever, anybody that works for her, because she has probably the fear that to lose them or that they'll betray them for other people. And I honestly don't know how people that think that somebody's stealing from them can sleep peacefully at night. In my universe, and maybe I am extremely naive, maybe, I don't know, I feel like the more I contribute to the lives of others, the closer they'll want me in their lives. If I send dozens of patients to my therapist's way, I think that the last appointment that she will want to cancel is mine. In any case, I think that she would keep me for much longer so that I could continue recommending her. Don't you think? I mean, for me, this is my way of thinking, this is my logic. And but again, we can see here that there's this desire to control people around us, their possibilities, their reach, their success. So maybe her therapist could have gotten so many new patients, but she's not, because this person is limiting her success at her own like life, right? To keep her in her life. And now, finally, scarcity story number three. This was happened when I decided to give a chance to a copywriter for my content in English. And for my first call with this copywriter, she didn't give me a great vibe, which now I make so much, like I pay so much attention to that, because I've already had so many experiences where I didn't pay attention to my intuition and I regretted it. So this is one of those cases. Basically, I hired this copywriter despite my intuition telling me not to do it. She took a quick look over my stuff. She was not a follower of mine or anything. And then she started drafting some of the emails that I asked her to do, that I hired her for. During the first review, she realized that she didn't have the information to do a good job on this project. She was like, okay, no, this clearly makes no sense with what you're trying to communicate. And she was like, maybe you should write the emails. She tells me, maybe I should write the emails. And then she could correct them. I'm hiring her to do the job because I don't have time to write those emails. So I highly regretted advancing her a good amount of money before that job and betraying my intuition at that point. It was very clear that she was not the right fit for me, and I still gave her a second chance. So a few months had gone by. I didn't hear anything from her. She never gave me the emails that I hired her to do it, and even I already paid her in advance. Until one day I found myself in a situation where I needed to translate something very simple from Spanish to English. So I contacted her. I'm like, remember, I paid you already hundreds of dollars. So can we use that as credit to translate this other emails? It's very simple. You don't need to watch my content or anything. And she replied to my request saying that there's no credit left because she already spent all of those hours watching, like doing massive research on my content for the emails that were not approved, the email that she never gave me. And I'm like, oh, so there's no money left? Like, that's it? We're not working together again? And she's like, no, I already did hours of research and that's it. And I'm like, but you never wrote the emails. Anyways, we told her that we were, stunned, and that we didn't understand like what's happening. You never gave us anything and we advanced you almost $1,000. But she said that that's it. We can go beep ourselves, as you know. So yeah, I don't know how people sleep peacefully at night again if they receive a large sum of money in advance and then they don't give anything in return. I was in complete shock. I couldn't believe it. And we felt as if we were robbed. And I feel like it's such a mistake to make anyone feel this way, especially someone who trusted you and hired you and who wanted to give you more business with all the hopes of making this partnership work. So we told her that we were not pleased, but she was like, yep, no, I'm sorry, this is it. So this is a final example of how scarcity mindset works. If you want greatness in your life or abundance in your life, make sure that whoever crosses path with you leaves happier than they were before they partner with you. Always. That is one of my rules. Anybody that partners with me, they need to leave happier, not pissed like we did. And maybe in order for them to be happier, you need to add extra hours of work that won't necessarily be paid. But I want to ask you this: what is worth more? That extra money or your peace of mind? Extra money or your reputation? That money or the ability to multiply your clients with an excellent recommendation? So tell me in the chat, what do you think, if that is worth more than the extra hours that you work being paid? Abundance is seeing life beyond numbers. It's about valuing the loyalty of others, the perception of others, and the recommendations of others over a paycheck. Abundance is going to sleep peacefully at night, knowing that no one is robbing us of anything and that we're not robbing anything from anyone. Abundance is understanding that our time and our energy is worth more than money. is going through life thinking, how can I add more value instead of how can I make more money or become more popular? I'm not saying that money is not important, by the way. It's the way that we think about it that gives us the feeling of either abundance or scarcity. Because it was never about how much we have, but how we perceive it and how we use it. So, where do you think that the idea of creating this class comes from? Do you think that it comes from the thought of, A, I need to make more money? Let me see what I can come up with? Or I know. Let me do this class about abundance so I can share what I know with the world. Well, I offer this abundance class as a bonus to anyone who purchased my book as a pre order. And it comes from my need to impact as many people as possible with the concepts that I talk about in this class and in that book. That's when I said to myself, why don't I present a live class with everything that I know about that topic? And that's what immediately came to my mind. I was like, yes, it's not about selling more copies, it's about giving more to the people that supported me, which is very different. And what I mean is that it is okay to make money, it is okay to monetize your knowledge, it's okay to be ambitious and to want more. My invitation to you is to consider changing the approach in which we start new projects and start with the intention, how can I add more value? When you do what you love and what you're passionate about and you do it well, money will come by itself. That is what at least I've experienced. And the first requirement to work with us at Hello Fears is that you must be an abundant person. Then when we see how good you are at what you do, that's even perfect. And if you're not that good, then we can do training, we can teach you, but we want people who can connect with our abundance so they can carry on with that mindset too. So I want to talk to you about the two ladies you see in here, Pau and Sophie. We have a larger team, but I just want to share this story about them. They've been with me for the last 4 years. They're like my core team. And they're always telling me that the biggest lesson that they've learned from working with me and Adam in the last 4 years has been that of abundance. You won't find us counting penny or counting hours. We're all here to give. They're here to do the best job that they can do, and not to mention that they're amazing at it. And Adam and I are here to give them the best possible experience. Nobody understands how my teams travel with me to all my conferences without charging extra fees. And the thing is that the experience that we live as a team and as individual goes beyond a few more dollars in the bank. On each trip, we have the incredible opportunities to connect with new people, to try new things, to soak up the positive energy of the audiences that attend my keynote speeches, to be pampered by clients who hired me, to learn from different industries, to have access to VIP environments with top industry leaders, and all while allowing ourselves the luxury of enjoying each city that we go to. I feel like I have the dream job, but the best part is being able to share that dream with the people around me. You can't imagine how Pau or Sophie, their excitement and their happiness when Hello Fears achieves a new milestone. When I achieve a new milestone, they're not in competition with me, especially since they understand that the better things go for me, the better things will go for them. The further I go, the further I take them, and they will take me. So I can't promote Pau and Sophie enough, as I'm always giving them credit for everything that they do whenever I can. Not only them, but the rest of my team. And I want the whole world to know that Sophie designed this beautiful presentation that you're seeing right now, and that I can't live without Pau or without them. And because without them, Hello Fears wouldn't be what it is today. And that makes others want to get them too. It's funny because Sophie is always asking me, like, don't mention me, Michelle. Stop mentioning my tagging my name and everything, because then people want to hire me. And I just want to work with Hello Fears because I love working with you. But still I feel weird not tagging, not promoting them. And I know that this brings opportunities to them, followers, clients, fame, whatever, but I trust in myself, and I trust that they'll continue to be here for Hello Fears for as long as they want to be part of this. Now I have a confession to make, but I need water. Okay, I see that Sophie is here. Hey, Sophie. Okay. I went to a very shitty situation when I was about to give this class for the first time last year. Full disclosure, I felt like abundance had abandoned me. Okay, that sounds like a title of something. Abundance had abandoned me. It was one of those life moments where everything went wrong. Have you been in those times where like you feel like the world is against you? Like in every situation, every possible case scenario, I felt like things were going not my way. So I don't know. I felt like I was being robbed everywhere. It was like the time where the thing with the copywriter happened that I told you, and so many other things like in the same way happening at the same time. I didn't feel valued. I feel like everything in my life was a bit too transactional. So there were so many things that made me feel awful, and I started asking myself, could it be me? Am I the problem? So besides, I was in the middle of planning this class. I was like writing this class, and I felt like the biggest imposter ever, talking about abundance and not feeling an ounce of it. So during that time, I had a conversation with Maho, one of my students, and she took my personal branding program, and then she became part of my inner circle. So she's someone that I really trust, and that I write often, especially when I find myself in situations where I can't figure things out. And this is what she shared to me. I would play it in a voice note because the Spanish version has the voice note, but it's in Spanish. So I will just, wrote down here what she said. So I'll read it to you. She said, it's fabulous that this is happening to you because now you'll be able to empathize from empathy with people who don't feel abundant all the time. If what you're going to teach about abundance doesn't work when you don't feel abundant, then what you're teaching does not work at all. Instead, while you're going through this, put into practice what you know works and see how what you get out of this. That way, you might share your art with your audience 5 hacks for when you're not feeling abundant. Maybe you didn't have this item in your class outline. You're going through a situation firsthand, so you can now teach from experience. And she said, my motto is your individual, and I put it here, individual pain has a collective purpose. The fact that you're not feeling abundant now is not happening to you, it's happening for those people who will attend your class, so that you can shine a light on those moments when we're not feeling abundant. I believe that's the purpose behind you experiencing this. When someone happens to you, something that you don't like, it has a greater purpose, and it is to share it with others. So just because you don't feel abundant doesn't mean that you're not abundant. Abundance will always exist, it will always be available to you. So as you can see, she congratulated me on my shitty situation and told me now more than ever, the universe is testing your abundance. Now you'll be able to empathize with those who don't feel abundant. So, and something that she said at the end of the conversation is, Michelle, be mindful of what you're vibrating, because what you're vibrating is what you're manifesting. So right then and there, I reconnected with what I had written here in this class, that abundance starts with you. And I put it into practice. I set out to be the most abundant person I know, not to receive anything in return, but to feel abundant again and test my own advice. So little by little, things got back to their own place. And I managed to get myself out of that negative internal state I was in due to the external circumstances that I was going through. And it's not that everything was fixed with a waving a magic wand like that. What changed was how I approached those situations and life in general. So I went from being the victim to becoming the hero of my own story. In the end, abundance is a feeling, not a result. When you're not feeling abundant, look around and try to find signs that you are. And start paying attention to everything that you have instead of everything that you're missing. Actually, a really good exercise to do here is to write a list of the things that you have in your life. Try to find a sign that you are abundant. For me, that works really well every time. And I do this literally every time that I don't feel abundant or that somebody comes to me and makes me feel that I'm not abundant because maybe they experience something, they're mad at something, and they want to put it on me. And they're like, oh, you teach abundance, but this is not abundance. And they make me question me and my abundance and my values. That's when I start in my head identifying all the things in my life that reassure me that I am abundant, because I wouldn't be living the life I'm living right now. I wouldn't be experiencing this if it wasn't for my abundance. So I start thinking about the house that I have, the husband I have, the baby I have, the career that I have, the clients I have. I think about the team that I have, the friends that I have, the community I have. I start thinking about all these things, and it's just a reassurance that I am abundant. Otherwise, I would not have these things in my life. I can assure you that. So now that we talk about abundance, being abundant, and how can we attract abundance, the reality is that we can act as abundantly as we want, but if we're not ready to receive what that abundance has in store for us, then it might just knock on our door and move along. That's why we have to know how to receive. And that is so important because there are people who find it difficult. And I think that we have to start practicing that more often. So when someone offers you something and you say no because you feel embarrassed or ashamed, you're telling the universe to stop sending you things. And tell me in the chat if you are guilty of this, if you're that person that every time somebody offers something, you're like, you're so ashamed to, not ashamed, but like you feel guilty and you're like, no, I'm okay, thank you. Deep down, you know that's something that you want, that's something that you need, but something inside of you is not like letting you accept this. It's telling you, don't accept this. Like this is not for you. Um, that's how I see it. Like every time that I encourage you to think deeper about it, think about the message that you're sending the universe. If you say no every time because you don't know how to receive, then little by little, the universe might stop sending you great things your way. Because the message that you're sending is that you don't want them. Like every time you reject something, you're telling the universe that you don't want these things because you don't know what to do with them, or that you're not willing to step outside of your comfort zone to receive it. But even if it's uncomfortable for you, I want you to start practicing saying yes, thank you more often than you say, no, I'm okay, don't worry about me, I'm doing fine over here. And you're like, I really needed that, but I just can't help it. So I started thinking about this because of a conversation I had with somebody the other day. This person came to my house. She was doing my hair, so we were having this really long conversation, and she was telling me, Michelle, you talk about abundance, but I haven't experienced abundance in my life yet. I was like, okay. The conversation kept going, and she started giving me all the details, and I could understand that there was like this pattern. It seemed that every time that she was offered something, she didn't know how to receive it. For example, she was telling me a story that her sister gave her a loan and that she really needed that loan, but she didn't want to accept it because she wasn't comfortable accepting that. So she rejected it. Even though it came from a place of like wanting to help and from the heart, she still rejected the loan that her sister wanted to give her. Then I offered her lunch because she was in my house, and I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm having lunch in half an hour, and I can ask Sol to cook an extra meal for you. So do you want lunch? And she immediately rejected it. She was like, no, 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 I don't want to bother you. I'm like, but you're not bothering me. We're doing two chickens instead of one. It's literally the same. More rice. We have enough rice. Plantains. Yes, why not? But she was like, no, 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 seriously, I'm okay. No, she kept rejecting this. And then Adam came here to where we were having this conversation. And he started offering financial advice, but she couldn't receive it because she wasn't ready. And she's like, oh, thank you, but no worries. And he was like, but I want to help you. And she's like, no, I'm fine. And that's when I stepped up and I said something. And I said, if you keep rejecting the opportunities or the gift that life is putting in front of you, Don't expect abundance to show up. We must be prepared to receive abundance and not just be an abundant being for others, because it goes both ways. Okay, I think that can come. Okay, here. And now I want to end this with an aha moment that I had the other day that I was walking Noah on the beach. So he's now turning 3, but about a year and a half ago, we were worried because we saw that he had a really hard time sharing. Every time he has like he's with another child, he becomes super possessive of his things, and he didn't want anybody to touch anything, and he believed that the whole world belonged to him. He learned the words, this is a year and a half ago, e mio, which is like it's mine, in a very cute way. So he thought literally even the swimming pool in our previous building belonged to him. He didn't want anybody getting into the pool. He's like, that's mine, it's my pool. So I was thinking, how can I teach him to share? Right? I feel like every parent has this thought, like, what's the best way? What's the right approach? What's the right thing to say? And I began to rehearse things in my head of how can I explain the importance of sharing. So I thought things like, you should lend that baby your toy for a little while and then you can play with it, right? He can have it too. Or here's another card. You don't need 5 at the same time. You can give him one and then you have 4 other cards. Or, don't take it away from him if you can play together, right? I was like going through all these things that I can tell him when suddenly I had this aha moment and I thought, what if you don't teach Noah to share, but instead you teach him the like basic principles of abundance? And what if you make him an abundant person from a young age? But how? And then I remember this classic phrase, don't do to others what you wouldn't want them to do to you. And since I usually change everything to positive, many years ago, I turned that phrase around. And this phrase and that thought turns my abundance switch on, which is do for others what you would want others do for you. For example, who here is not a fan of 10 or 15% off discounts? Right? What is that? I hate them when they're like, oh, there's a discount and it's like 10%. I'm like, I don't even want 10%. I might as well pay full price. So I'm always thinking, what can I do for others? The things that I want them to do for me. So normally when I do a discount or my programs or something, I try to be like 25 to 30% of discount, something that I want to receive, right? Or for example, I've seen a lot of online courses that expire as soon as the live classes are over. But I'm like, I wouldn't want that. I want to give people a full year to experience my online program again and again so they can watch it as many times as possible, right? In the same way that when I see an opportunity to become a mentor or a guide to someone that I faithfully believe in, I don't hesitate it, because I would have loved to have a mentor who would teach me everything that now I know and open incredible doors for me. And I can't complain. I did have many people along my path who guided me. And that's why I want to contribute to the success of others. So every time that I can, for example, my event this morning where I launched the book here in Miami, in person, in Spanish, I could have, be the center of attention and be the one speaking the whole time. It's my book. I can talk about it for hours and hours and hours. But I was like, how can I highlight my community? How can I give a little bit of that success that I already have to the people that are learning from me, that are investing in themselves and in me and are part of my membership? So I carefully pick 10 people that I see a lot of potential in them. And I ask for them to be on stage and share their stories and inspire my audience with their stories. Because that's what I would have loved when I was starting, somebody to put me in their stage when I was just starting, when I was not a speaker or anything, and give me that confidence, and that visibility and that highlight. And again, I don't do it to receive anything in return. I do it because I love to give, to act from abundance, and to connect with those around me, whether they're part of my community or my own family. And that's the lesson that I want to give to Noah. I want him to consider, what would you like to receive? How would you like to be treated? What do you expect from others? So now let's stop expecting that and act from that place. Like, use that question just to acknowledge what you would want so you can do that now for other people and motivate him to start his own abundance chain. Now, to end this presentation and give you a taste of how abundance feels like, I will share a surprise that I have with you. So, are you all ready? Okay, take a deep breath. Last thing we're doing together. Okay, let's go. Close your eyes. Place your left hand on your heart and the right one above. Breathe. We're going to travel to the future, to next year, but the same day, the same month, 1 year from today. You look around and you can't believe it. A very big dream came true for you, one that made you reluctant to admit you had. The one that intimidated you because of how ambitious it was. The one that barely showed its head, you would scare it away with phrases like, "No, why me? Those things don't happen to me. Who am I to dream about that, to deserve that?" Now, look back. Remember where you were a year ago at a Hello Fears event talking about abundance and questioning if that's for you, if you will ever enjoy what Michelle talks about. Well, turns out your desires were stronger than your doubts, your self confidence stronger than your fears, and your courage stronger than your comfort. This year, you managed to shift your focus. You went from thinking about how much money you want to earn to how much value you want to add. You went from seeing others as your competition to seeing them as allies. You went from feeling like something is missing to feeling sufficient. You are enough. You have enough, and you always will. And most importantly of all, you went from learning to give to also knowing how to receive. You went from, "No thanks, I'm fine," to, "Wow, yes, I would love that." Because to welcome abundance, you must know how to receive it with gratitude. Today, you are a witness to that. You are a source of abundance that you set in motion yourself. It all started when you began to offer, not because you expected something in return, but because you felt compelled to give, support, and contribute to the lives of others through your passion. And today, you live with that, what you're most passionate about, and others value it and value you. Today, your abundance is evident, and more than giving you a life of luxury, it gives you freedom. The freedom to be yourself unapologetically. The freedom to work out of love, not out of necessity. The freedom to invest time, resources, and attention on those you love most and want to see succeed. The freedom to make your own decisions and be the owner of your life because you owe nothing to anyone. And even though you give all you've got, you don't feel anyone owes you a thing. Welcome to your new abundant life. You deserve it. How do you feel? Let me know in the chat how this meditation that I wrote yesterday for all of you makes you feel. I put this one in Spanish today in the event in the morning, and I saw a lot of people tearing up and crying, and I'm excited. I'm so excited for all of you here. And actually, I want to share this meditation, like just the audio, with all of you so you can listen to this whenever you don't feel abundant. I see here that you say that it touched my heart. I feel inspired. That was beautiful. Thank you. I feel brave. I feel capable. What a beautiful word. Inspired, hopeful, speechless. I just received your book. Why I'm having such a great time. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you all. Powerful and abundant. A perfect abundant message before going to bed. Yes, I'll send it to you so you can listen to it every night and say hello abundance. Now let's go back to this, and I want to share with you first. Well, before we end this, just thank you all for being part of my book launch. For pre-ordering means so much to me that you help me in this moment that is so important for me. And I want to share with you something that a follower of mine shared with me about a year ago. She said, Michelle, I wish you as much success as the amount of effort you put into your work. Which I thought it was so interesting because normally people just wish good luck or success, right? Oh, I wish you much success. But her wish was in relationship to my work. So I decided to rewrite this just because I love rewriting things. We talked about this already. And this is what I wish for you watching this today. I wish you as many positive things as the amount of value you bring to the world. So, thank you again so much to all of you for joining me today, for being part of this class, and for wanting to learn about this, about abundance. And I'm just so excited because this is just getting started. I'm now going to do a research study about how abundance leadership will impact communities and can impact communities so more people can build more communities through this mindset. And probably my next book will be around this abundance and community building, and my next talk and everything. So I am very, very excited because I feel like this is just the beginning, and there's a lot of content that I need to share with around this. I feel like my first topic about courage is very life changing. The one about authenticity is also very life changing. But I feel like this one about abundance is world changing. And this is what we need in the world more than ever today. We need more people wanting to give from the heart without expecting anything in return and wanting to be there for each other. That's what we need the most. All right, everybody. Thank you again for connecting and staying all the way to the end. This was amazing. I loved sharing this with you this time together. And I'm, again, wishing you as many positive things as the amount of value you bring into the world. Take care, everybody.